Ask you is, after 12 years of corporate job, what made you to shift your profession to teaching, and what did you expect from out of this profession?
Uh, Two things. I quit corporate life, not corporate life. I worked for government, I worked for NGO, I worked for multinational, I worked for Indian private sector, I worked for Section 25. There was nothing else to work for, and I got bored with it whole lot.
Okay.
That's why I set up on my own. Teaching is only one of the things that I do. I teach, I consult, I do corporate training programs, I do technical writing, I also run a carpentry workshop. Teaching is only one of the things I do.
So was there any particular thing that you didn't like about corporate life or various sectors? You found same things in all the sectors?
I have a limited span of attention, and therefore after some time I get bored. So I shift. So my wife and my family is the only thing that I've stayed with for the last 25 years.
So as a guest faculty, what do you expect from different institutes and different students?
I'm not a guest faculty, I'm a visiting faculty.
Visiting faculty.
I choose which institutions to work with.
Okay.
And my primary motive for teaching is twofold. The primary motive is twofold. One is I'm a survivor of the educational system, and I want to see whether I can do better what I would have wanted from the educational system when I was a student. The second is also to keep up with the next generation. That's the competition that's coming up for me,
Okay.
and see what they are up to and where they are.
And what I see from your teaching style is it's different from the regular stuff that goes on. So how do you manage? Do you face problems with that from the side of students or other professors?
No.
Or students get adjusted easily?
No. For the record, in these many years of teaching across 52 institutions and over 1,000 courses, nobody has ever asked me, what do you do, how do you do, why do you do this, and how does it work for you? Nobody has ever asked.
Absolutely understand. We have also, you have taught us also, so we have found it very great. And what has your experience been in teaching across various cultures, institutes, geographies and students, the different parts of the world that you have taught?
There isn't much of a difference. I would like, as a marketer, I would be forced to say that yes, there is a huge cultural difference between this and that and the other, but in reality it isn't. Every student around the world wears Levi's, they wear Nikes, they wear Lacoste t-shirts, they drink Coke, they eat pizza, and they all seem to want to work for the same kind of companies. And everyone wants a job, preferably the higher paid the better. So there isn't any great cultural difference. There should have been, but I can't see much.
So you have been in the industry for a long time. According to you, how has the marketing aspects changed in the last 3 decades across the globe?
Marketing has changed. One is technology has tremendously changed and empowered the customer. We are a little more empowered than we used to be. The second thing is really smart corporations now put more of the onus on the customer, using digital technologies as an excuse. Now you make the customer do even more. So they gather the information with themselves, they do the comparison by themselves, they do testing with themselves, they search for information either from the companies or from their friends or from communities themselves. They do most of marketing's job for them. So essentially all you have to do is just pack and collect the money. You look at a bank, for instance, virtually everything you do today you do yourself. The bank just sits back and enjoys the...
You have to go to them.
That's right.
So what would you do today if you were at our age with more career opportunities than before?
I would do exactly what you guys are not doing. I would drop college, use that money to travel around and set up a business myself.
But without experience, if it doesn't work out.
What experience did you have when you were born? What experience do you have when you have a baby? What experience do you have when you get married? What experience do you have when your parent passes away?
But there are responsibilities. Like I have personally, I failed in a business. I've failed in 2 businesses. So after you run a business for 2 years, then you fail suddenly. Then you have to, for your family also, you have to maintain some responsibilities.
That's right. So first you maintain that responsibility, then you do what you like. You could write backdated checks for the next 2 years, keep that amount of funds aside, and then go and do your own venture.
So what efforts do you put into bring multicultural dimensions in your lectures?
I don't put efforts, I live that life. So all I'm talking about is the life I live. I buy those brands, I use those brands, I travel to those places, I meet those people, I work with those kind of companies, I meet those kind of customers. What I do in the class or what I do in corporate training or what I do in consulting is exactly what I do every day. So I'm not doing anything different. I'm just living that day with the student. Some days I live that day with corporate, some days I live that with my clients in the consulting world. It's the same thing. I'm not doing anything different.
And you are into various things. You have startups, you have you work as a guest faculty. So how do you manage your time in, I mean, when you are devoting your time in one, if there is something happening on the other part, so how do you manage it?
Oh, I don't. I do three things. First is I don't pick up the phone. As you would have seen, I never pick up the phone.
Yeah.
If I'm on one job, I'm on one job, and I'm completely on that job. That makes things very, very easy. So I don't multitask. I don't have to report to anybody on the phone or on email. I'm doing exactly what I'm doing to the best I can. And whoever I work with, I hope they know that. And they know that, which is why they don't trouble me, and I deliver to them the best I can, and that's it.
So what effects has the change in your profession from corporate to being an entrepreneur then?
I already told you twice, I didn't change from corporate to something. I changed from multinational to government, government to NGO, NGO to Section 25, Section 25 to traditionally run Indian private sector. So it was never corporate in the first place.
But still you were working for someone else before. Now
I'm
you're
still
working
for someone else. They're called customers.
Yeah, customers.
Yes.
But
so you're always working for somebody else. You're either working for your family, or you're working for your customers, or you're working for your boss, or you're working for your subordinates, you're working for your colleagues. You're always working for yourself.
okay.
So now instead of one boss, I have 500 bosses. That's the only difference. And if I'm in a class, I have that many bosses, 60 bosses in your case. I need to cater to all 60 of you.
So this being our first interview, and you know that we are working for the 3 E's. So what feedback would you give us so that for next time whenever we are having interviews or collecting data, what should we do?
I wouldn't be so presumptuous as to give you feedback. What I would urge you to do is, you've got these 3 E's, do 10 or 15 interviews and see what the pattern that emerges looks like.